I'm really excited to be here with Ramzi. A big thank you again to the Arab Film Festival and the Arab Film and Media Institute and Alex and Serge and the new Parkway for having us here. Thank you, everyone. We would not be here without you. And so with that, I'll hand it back to you to introduce Christine.
So I think Christine told me she wants to introduce herself, but she is with the IRC, and I got to meet her finally face-to-face today. The work that they are doing is, you know, when you say life-saving, it truly is in every sense of the word. They are one of the few places that people who are caught in the crosshairs between homophobia and Islamophobia can find a safe place, they can find hope, and she's been doing it for years. I'm going to have you introduce yourself, Christine, and then we'll take it from there.
Oh, how, you know, the really crazy thing right now is that the man of the hour is actually standing in the theater, and we did not introduce him.
Ghazwan, Alsharif.
Back there.
Joined IRC 4 years ago, but I've been working with refugees and immigrants now for 10 years here in Northern California and then in upstate New York before I came out here. And these are the opportunities that really fulfill me in the work that I do. When we get to see people that have come through the journey, and it's not an easy journey, and that they can be successful and thrive in this country. So IRC does our part, and we work with community to support individuals like Ghazwan to fulfill their dreams here in America. And we'll talk a little bit more about the work of the International Rescue Committee tonight.
And I'm just so embarrassed. I mean, every time I forget somebody, there's probably somebody out there in the audience that I've forgotten to thank and call up. But really, the man of the hour, that was the best moment that you guys all saw me in.
You came all the way
and he was
that.
so quiet back there, which is surprising.
So I
won't live this one down, I'm sure.
I think we're going to start with a question, because when I said that I was going to meet with you today, you know, people sent questions, and there's just this one question that really needs to be answered. I think it may be on many people's minds. How has the landscape of U.S. refugee resettlement changed over the last few years, and what current opportunities are there for resettlement for refugees and asylees, and how does this affect the more marginalized populations?
Starting me with the hard one, huh, Ramzi? Yeah. I think anyone that's following the news and is aware of the political climate that we're under could answer that question, that it's devastating. The Reception and Placement Program has been a bipartisan program supported by the Department of State since it started in the early 80s. And what's been happening now is unprecedented. So the president just sent a determination of how many refugees he would let into this country this year, and he set that ceiling at 30,000 human beings. That is the lowest that we have seen, and it's even lower than last year when that ceiling was set at 45,000. So it's very, very difficult to enter this country right now as a legal refugee. And it's at a time when there are more refugees in this world than there have ever been. In fact, it's over 26 million people that have refugee status. So it's really devastating to see that we are now in a place where we cannot provide that humanitarian support that this country has always been able to do to let individuals in to be able to restore their dignity and hope. You will see that people that are more marginalized, that might identify as LGBT or be from another vulnerable community, are going to have an even harder time to come through that legal process. We're also seeing a lot that's happening with the Muslim community around that. And these are the people that need this safety and security that we can provide more than anyone else. So you might see an increase in people that are coming to this country as what we call asylum seekers, which means that they are fleeing the same persecution that a refugee is in their home country, but that they're seeking that safety here and then applying for the asylum status so that they can stay in this country once they make that claim for persecution. So again, it's just that we are going to continue to be advocating that people like Ghazwan, whose lives are precious to us and to our communities, get the right to come in and integrate and thrive here in America.
So what I wanted to say, other than thank you, is that, you know, one of the things I'm asked is how to help. And I think, you know, contributing, you know, volunteering, I think there is such a need right now. And I know at Stanford, Serge Bakalian mentioned that I have a radio show called Arabology. So I used to be about the Arab Spring music. I'm always trying to be optimistic. Erin sometimes asks me, how do you manage to be so optimistic? I think music is a very big part of, you know, letting people know about the other. But most of the music I'm playing these days on KZSU during my show is music that's made by refugees, whether they're here, whether they are in limbo, or whether they're in the old countries. And I'm just going to share one song, one story about a song. So I got a song from some refugees. These were Syrian refugees in the Zaatari camp in Jordan. So basically they fled Syria to go to Jordan. They're kind of, you know, enclosed in the Zaatari camp. They can't go into the city or whatever, but, you know, they're in this sort of glorified camp or something. And I guess there's some young people there sent this song to me, and it was kind of Arabic hip hop, and I like fusion, and it was singing in Arabic, but you could hear like drums or something in the background. So I wrote back, and I said, what was that amazing soundtrack? And they said, that's the sound of the bombs. It wasn't actually, so they used, I mean, this is sort of the refugee mentality. They have nothing, and yet out of nothing, they create something. And they created this kind of looping soundtrack to the song. And what were they, like 18, 19 years old, got together and produced music. So the reason I'm saying this is that the image of refugees that we see on the mainstream media is always so kind of, you know, they're so different, they're so, you know, and yet this is the image of a refugee. Give them a chance, give them an inch, and they will give you back an ocean. And I think that, you know, I'm very proud that you're a fellow American, Ghazwan. Other than that, so other than that, I think we should open it up. What do you think, Erin? It's a really good time to have people react. They're so fresh. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. First, before we go there, I would like to say hi to Rainbow Street organization, which is a big organization that really started like, what? How long you guys been?
2014.
2014, opening for bringing and supporting refugees, LGBTQ communities. So thank you so much. You guys were at the last screen, and now you're here. Wow, that's it.
So who's going to be the gutsiest person by asking them? There we go. Nice. Hi.
Love the movie. Congratulations, Erin. And my question is, your restaurant that you're going to open up, what's the name of it, and where do you want it to be, and what kind of cuisine? Is it a mixture? Is it...
So the question was for Ghazwan, asking about the kind of restaurant he wants to open up, and what kind of restaurant is it going to be?
I love this. Is we've been screening for since the beginning of this year, correct?
Since
this
March.
is the first question like that. I love this question, by the way, because that's my dream still going on. My dream, the restaurant will be plates. All the walls will be different plates. Just, you know, you collect them from $1 store or, you know, 200 store. It doesn't matter. And then it's going to be a fusion of Mediterranean. You can see Chef _Ghazwan on Instagram. This is my work, so you can see my work. That's what it's going to be. Thank you. I love that question. Not politics. Not, you know.
Are you going to call it Ashik restaurant?
Plates.
Oh, that's actually the name. Okay. In Arabic, suhoon, I guess. Suhoon. There we go. Yes.
I'm
Kevin.
Yes, thank
Kevin.
you. Thank you for the shout out too.
Of course.
So I'm curious, both from the perspective of Rainbow Street and just anyone else who's interested in the room, what are some strategies that allies to the Middle East, North African, queer, expat community, how can we as allies like promote visibility of that community here in the Bay Area? Because I know you've been doing such important work, and I wonder, where do we fit in that? How can we lift that up?
So Kevin, who is with Rainbow, is asking Rainbow Street. By the way, Rainbow Street is the name of a street in Jordan. It's a real
It's not a
street, and it's a very colorful street.
Yes, that's,
oh, you were there?
That's the origin of the
Oh, the name. Oh, my God.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at me. So, yeah, if you're ever in Amman, Jordan, go to Rainbow Street. But you were asking about ways to promote visibility, because we are talking about a marginalized community here and marginalized sexualities. And, you know, we've discussed it in my interview with Erin on my radio show, which aired a couple of days ago, about, you know, being sensitive of people's privacy and security risk and all that versus visibility and enabling people to be themselves and come out proudly as who they are. Any suggestions?
Well,
and then we'll pass it on to...
yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, we met in several organization or, you know, NGO, LGBTQ support, and Ishq is open for any, whatever your gender or sexuality, it's open, heart, mind, brain, and we are always willing to support. That's for what I can do, I mean, you know, but I guess she's the right person to answer that question.
I think we all will be able to answer it from a different perspective, and that is to the point that everyone will be at a different place when they come here as a refugee or an asylee, and they might identify as queer or LGBT. And so what we found at the International Rescue Committee is that partnering with LGBT organizations and different ally organizations has been the best approach, so that we can kind of marry both worlds and be a bridge to support people for when they are ready and how they do want to come out, and that's going to look really different for each person's story.
Yes, please.
Thank you all. Thank you, Ghazwan, for sharing your story.
Khulud.
It's definitely worth canceling on the workshop.
I know,
So
sorry.
I
Sorry.
Do you
5
hear me
p.m. Who's going to screen at 5 p.m.?
So I was like really personally touched. I'm Arab, and I was married to an Iraqi guy who had his father also translate for the American Army, and I never understood that. And it was like really insightful to just see your story and the human condition in it, and the complication of all the political, historical, cultural, social aspects in it, and the torture is very touching, very powerful, and just being openly gay, which I'm positive back home, so I really see this as like very moving and very powerful and brave. And I just also feel like I want to emphasize your story, because I felt like when it finished, it quickly like went to this refugee narrative, which is very important because, and I'm a therapist and I work with Arab refugees and immigrants and asylees, but I just like want to shift this. I was like a bit like difficult to like, wait, like 40,000 refugees, now we're talking about Ghazwan, you know? So every refugee has a story, and I'm just into like emphasizing the complications of every single person who has this label, which I don't like refugee. So thank you for sharing the story, and also, of course, the great work that IRC is doing. And I want to ask the director about these years, like how was this filmed, and like are you like what year did you start filming? Because it looks like a very long time.
Erin, before you answer, let me just, so everybody heard the question, this is Khulud, whose name means eternity in Arabic. And Khulud is asking about, you know, she was making very powerful points, but the main question was, you know, was this a quick movie? Did it take a few days to make this film? How long did it take to make this movie?
Can I say that it felt like a khulud? Is that how you're saying it?
It felt like a khulud.
So we started in 2008. Initially, actually, so that we met the International Rescue Committee before Christine came on board, before we met Ghazwan, and there were a group of us who were interested in looking at a new population that was forming in the Bay Area. We were aware of a large Iraqi community that had formed in the San Diego region during the first Gulf War, but there was a new community that was being formed in our backyard, and it was 2008, so the recession was at the lowest point, and it was also post 9/11, so anti-Arab sentiment was at that time at all-time high, and we've certainly risen since then. And so we thought it would be important to kind of shed light on this community that was in our backyard and see what it would be like to rebuild your life in a country that was ultimately responsible for your displacement. And we thought we would follow 3 to 4 people in their resettlement process. But we couldn't find people, as you can imagine, who would be willing to be on camera because they were afraid for their family's safety back home and what the reputation might, how the impact might be for their reputation. And then we met Ghazwan, and actually we had this. There's another little twist to it too, not to make it too long, but we were trying to raise the money first to make a film. We thought we'd do it the right way, raise the money first, then make a film. And we just submitted a grant proposal thinking we had no film because we didn't have anybody who was interested in being on camera. When the IRC connected me with Ghazwan, he just arrived maybe a month or 2 months, I think, before we met him. And he was interested in talking to us, and so I thought to ask if he'd be willing to be on camera. And you all now know him. He said, heck yeah, and I've got a story to tell. And we did not get the grant, but how can you walk away from Ghazwan? So it took us 8 years of filming and 2 years of post-production to get here, predominantly because we couldn't get the funding, but the silver lining of that I keep saying in all these screenings is that we wouldn't have been able to follow Ghazwan on his journey as long as we did, and quite possibly we would have told a story without talking about Ghazwan's sexuality, because initially we were not going to include that in the film. So we needed that time for us all to kind of grow into a place where we felt like that could be a part of the film. And so no money, but an incredible story.
10 years, 2008.
And we did get some funding, so I don't want to discredit the incredible crowdfunding support we got and the grant money that we got as well. So it wasn't entirely.
Ghazwan, was there any particular incident that convinced you that you do want to talk about the sexuality? Because the film was powerful enough with just the refugee and your story, and you were hesitant, of course, in the beginning. Was there a specific incident that convinced you, while talking to Erin, that, you know what, I'm also going to come up that way?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's actually in the scene. I was not, most of Middle Easterns, I always talk about that, but the majority, I'm not going to say everyone is gay, hello, but I'm going to say the majority are, grabbing hands man to man, it's normal, we kiss each other, it's normal, you don't have to be gay. But I'm being gay since I remember playing with Barbie. Remember that story with Barbie? So I'll tell you maybe later on the party what's the Barbie story. But beside Barbie, when I came here, I was not, willing to come out and talk about, or support even. Yeah. But I had a story, which is my story, which is the 75 days of torture. Why I'm there, why I'm being tortured, and I've written a book about it. And that's my story when I met Erin. There was no, idea or willing to talk about me being as gay. I always want to keep it by myself secretly. But one day I was searching online and I've seen the killing at that year, this time, of the Iraq. It never happened. I never saw, I never heard about killing gay people. Like, even nowadays you cannot talk about killing animals. And that was an open mind, heart, you name it. And I just blew up on the camera and I decided to talk about me being gay, and that shifted the whole documentary. And I'm very grateful, and I'm very pleased, and I'm very proud to be who I am, which is a gay man. So.
Who knows how many lives have you changed just by coming out, because there's how many little Ghazwans, little Hoods are back there. And I think, you know, it's the lack of representation. It's the total lack of visibility. You have nobody, you have no mentor, you have no role model in the media. And then to see this, it's amazing.
I was just given the time. We have time for
one more question.
So we have time for
and
one more
before we do the
question.
actually, we will be gathering over at Double Standard, which is literally just around the corner. It's a bar, and gathering for drinks. And at 8 p.m., an incredible belly dancer, Heaven, will be joining us for a performance. So please do join us over there. And if anybody's interested, I actually have 11 by 14 posters from the film. I printed way too many that I printed way too many that I couldn't put up. And so if you want to donate anything to pay for something expensive, I have a whole bunch of them down here that will, Ghazwan can sign them for you.
Nice. Habibi. So yes, please.
عندي سؤال وبدي أحاول بالعربي.
يلا. تفضلي.
He's a translator.
She's going to ask a question in Arabic, so I'll do it.
You're going to have about 30 seconds to answer the question.
Okay. يلا.
عن موضوع السياسية بس ما هي العلاقة بين البوليسية العسكرية والبوليسية بشكل عام عشان ما في اتصالات بين الاثنين ليش؟
في العراق. So she's asking very quickly about the difference between the military and the police and the interactions between them in terms of authority in Iraq. Do you know anything about that? Are they the same? Yeah. It's such a good, and what beautiful, MashaAllah! MashaAllah! طالبة ممتازة.
Thank you guys.
Thank you everyone. We'll continue in the hafla.
Come out to the lobby if you have some questions.
MashaAllah. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Ramzi. Thank you, everyone.
Shukran, everybody.
Thank you. Folks, if you're staying for the next movie, we'll need you.